The one station, I'm sorry. Oh, okay, perfect. The one station that would constantly be on at our, no matter what grandma's house or grandpa's house we were at, and was always the station, the KITV4 station that used to show the samurai shows, and of course the sumo tori matches live that were being held in Japan. So I grew up not only knowing the culture of my heritage, but also those that were adopted into our home. As you can only imagine, any grandparents or grandma with a house full of grandkids watching samurai shows and sumo all day, you can imagine she had her hands full. Some barely out of diapers, some running around half naked with only our underpants. Us cousins would emulate the champions we watched on those shows. Today, it is really my honor, as an extension of our very own Ohana engagement team, a global celebrity, one of Hawaii's greatest champions, an individual many of us grew up watching on that box, creating childhood memories with the rest of our cousins, the one who exhibited the talents of Hawaii to the world and carved his own path by always facing challenges head on. Truly, only Wikipedia or Google can do him justice with all his life's accomplishments. It would take me the full 45 minutes if I was to even list them for you all. If you would please put your hands together in helping me to welcome our next guest into our space. It is my absolute pleasure and honor to welcome Uncle Salevaʻa Atisanoʻe live from Japan, known across the world as Konishiki, here into our space, and to share a little bit about his rise into the history books and the many other obstacles he overcame with hard work, perseverance, and the support of his family here in the islands. Without further ado, let's give a virtual round of applause for Uncle Sale. Welcome, Uncle Sale. How are you doing today?
Hello. Thank you. First of all, thank you for having me being part of the Ohana engagement of your virtual engagement 2021. It's a great honor to be part of something that all you and your staff has been working so endless from this morning to right now. I know it's around 1, 2 o'clock in your time. I'm just trying to digest the spam I ate this morning. So it's kind of early here. The weather's kind of overcasted, but yeah, I'm glad to be here and part of such a great engagement you guys doing here in Kamehameha High School.
Thank you, Uncle. We are truly blessed to have you in this space. You know, everybody's so excited for you to be here. You know, you like I said, you are a global celebrity. Most of us have grown up watching you. There were so many people who were so very excited that, how do you get this, this national celebrity to do all these things? And, very simply, sometimes you make the joke. What did you tell me, Uncle, the other day when we said this? What did you tell me? Sometimes we just gotta.
You just gotta go, man.
Yeah. So we truly appreciate the time, and that's really what makes it so special. So jumping in, Uncle Sal, I know a lot of people, like I said, for those individuals this morning, that the very few that may not have known all your accomplishments, we asked them to not Google anything yet, to be excited, because I told them that it would take a while. So first of all, we know that being from the islands, we know that it is pretty customary in Hawaii. Can you share a little bit about, all in attendance, about your early years down here, kind of perhaps how you grew up, what the kind of the culture of your home, the activities you grew up loving, and of course, the relationship with your family?
Well, first of all, I was born and raised in Hawaii. I'm one of the 3 siblings that was born and raised in Hawaii. My family background is Samoan, as you know. The Atisanoʻes, both parents actually came to Hawaii like over 60 years ago. And we have 10 kids in the family, and we were all raised all my life in Nanakuli, so I'm a West Sider. And we had, growing up in the household, we was culturally tight with the Samoan culture. We weren't allowed to speak any English in our household because Mom, to the day she passed, Mom haven't spoke any English much. So we spoke other languages, and that was one thing that I'm glad that we were taught as kids through our parents to actually keep the culture. And like anything else, if you don't keep the most important part of the culture is the language. So my siblings, we grew up with the language, even though me, my brother Junior, and my sister Kahau, we're actually born and raised in Hawaii, but everything we did at the house was all Samoan. And then, I went to school to Nana Ikapono, one of the greatest schools, one of the best locations ever on earth, I guess, on the beach. Learning how to react to how weather reacts to, like, you can tell when the weather's going to be bad by the sound of the oceans the night before, and you walk the beaches, pick puka shells, and I grew up in that at that time, so where everybody was stayed homely at Nanakuli and Waianae area. So after my childhood, I grew up to my junior high school years. I was in Nanakuli intermediate high school, and then I transferred to University Lab School, where all my friends, to this day, my classmates, they call me traitor. But I always tease them, bro. At least I'm not on father from 16 years old, bro. But it's all good. Nanakuli is my heart. You cannot take the Nanakuli away from the Nanakuli boys. So, and then out of the sudden, after high school years in the lab school, University High in Manoa, that's where my career started. I flew to Japan when I was 18.
So Uncle, you talk about your journey from, the amazing Ahupua'a of Nanakuli. It's such an amazing place out there for those of you that we get to spend time. So you talk about your move from, growing up little kid style. Now we're over at UH Lab. You're getting big. You're a typical local boy doing typical local boy kind of things. How did you discover sumo?
Sumo was actually towards the last part of my high school year. And I still remember people always laugh at me because it's supposed to be an educational thing, but actually they found me cutting class. I was at the beach body surfing and surfing with some real famous guys like Joe Nosai. And Joe Nosai was a preacher right now. We got Analu Aina, who's a great musician from the Waimanalo side. You guys all know him. He plays all Thursdays. I check them out on Facebook every Thursday. And, and it was towards graduation week. So as we went to the beach, Curtis Tabu, another famous pro wrestling, before WWE and WWF, we had a very famous, in fact, we had a few famous wrestling icons from Hawaii, and Curtis Tabu Yaukea was one of them. Uncle Curtis was at the wall in Ala Moana, renting out boogie boards and mats and what you call those umbrellas for tourists. So he the one that kind of pulled me on the side and told me, hey, man, he talked to me and said, oh, you number 79 that plays for Pac-5? I thought, yeah, Uncle, number 79. You should, are you interested in sumo? I said, no, I don't know. What is that, sumo? I don't know what is sumo. So he kind of put me on the side and kept on talking to me. And I was so bummed, so I never caught any waves. Every time we went to the beach, he put me on the side. And he was my car I was using at the time, I got to drove all my friends to the beach, but I was the only guy who wasn't in the water. I was always with Curtis the Buyauke talking to me about going to Japan and talking to me about the history of sumo. But I never know what sumo was. I just told him, Uncle, I don't understand, but he kept on bugging me. But throughout our culture in Hawaii, throughout respect, we have to, like, if the old man call you to come sit down and talk story, you gotta go sit down and talk story. So that's what I did, and that's where it kind of started. So it led to another thing.
Oh, that's amazing. So it would be kind of fair to sumo kind of found you, right? I mean, we didn't know what it was.
Exactly.
It kind of just found you.
Obviously, it found me. And it's funny because it was a crucial part, as every kid, when you graduate from high school, you kind of at the point where you have to, like, make decisions of going to college and all that stuff, out of the 10 kids in our family, I'm number 2 from the bottom. So I had a younger sister, another adopted sister below me, but all my brother Junior, then above me, everybody went to college except me. So knowing that, I learned a lot from just being at home while my brothers and sisters went to college. And I noticed, even though they were on scholarships, they struggled because financially, because they needed board money, not now, like now you go to college, they throw money at you now, man. Everything get paid for and stuff like that. So like a lot of those days, I saw that my mom and dad struggling, just try to helping them when it's spring season or spring break, and they didn't have money for them for fly back, so they had to go stay with cousins in Seattle or LA, because Junior was at Washington State. And my sister Nia graduated from Oregon. So I saw that and I understood what the family goes to, trying to help somebody in the family to go through college, even though they had scholarships to go to college. So when that king came to me, I just told him, hey, bro, it going to cost any money, uncle? He said, no, they're going to take you there. Really. As long as I don't have to ask my parents or anybody have to worry about me feeding me when I leave. If everything is good and they pay for everything just to go there, I'm good. And I have some place to live, I'll go. And that's how it went. When he told me they have to pay, I thought I ain't letting my parents worry about me. And so what they said, everything is paid for. They're going to fly you up. You're going to live in a sumo stable, which is like a dorm with all the other sumo guys. And that's going to be your life. So as long as that is clear with me, I'm good. And I left. I took my Bible, my picture album of my family, my friends that I carry around. And that's all I had. I had slacks and a lower shirt. And then I had I even had my pair of shoes, and then because I thought I was going to put that on at the airport, but I ended up not paying that. Not even if you look at the first photos of me going to Japan, I came to Japan with an ia lava lava and with a T-shirt that says Samoa and slippers, because my mom made me an ia whaikanga, which is the one with the pockets. She made me one the night before I left, and she bought me a T-shirt. Went to the airport at the Samoan store in Waipahu, and she told me to wear the shirt. So if you see it, there's photos of me at the beginning of my career. That's all I have. And that's all I had a shoulder bag. I didn't have luggage. And not even a penny to my name when I left.
That's so amazing, because a lot of times, as students, a lot of us educators that are always encouraging students to kind of take the next step. And sometimes it's scary, we know, especially with you, with your older siblings already in standardized colleges, kind of that setting. Were you a little afraid? Are you hesitant? I know, like you said, you always hit challenges, Uncle, and you always face them on. But what are some of those feelings going on when you're like, oh, my pathway might be a little bit different, but like you said, it is today what it is today.
Well, the path was very different, but there's something that I always learned growing up. I'm not afraid to take those challenges, and especially the reason why. You got to find the purpose and why you're doing things. And my reason was really, it was a no-brainer. I'm doing it for my family. And then everything I did when I transferred from intermediate Nanakuli to go to University High, we figured it's going to be kind of better for us, open up the doors to something else. And it did. We went to schools with different nationalities that we hardly see and the culture in the school that we went to, the University Lab, compared to the school, the culture that we had in Nanakuli was different. And the way they think and the way they wear, we were all the same. Everybody came to school barefooted, puka pants, and all that in Nanakuli. But when you went to like Liverpool, you kind of see, oh wow, why are these students have their parents dropping them off with Mercedes-Benz and BMWs and wearing nice T-shirt? There wasn't, all GQ, but at least they were wearing a different shirt, a different short every day. Me, I was wearing lava lava every day to school. In the university, we started a fad. But anyway, that's why you see, challenges that I took from the very beginning. When I got on the plane, I figured that, wow, bro, you sure now? Because I didn't want to disappoint my parents at all. Because I still remember the thing that encouraged me every day, the struggles I go even today. The first picture that I see in my mind is the picture that I see my mom pulling my shirt at the airport. They didn't want me to get on the plane. But my parents they got caught really side blind them so bad that they didn't know I was going to Japan until like a week before I left. I just told them I'm going to Japan, and my mom looked at me and said, "For what?" I said, "I'm going to be a sumo wrestler." And she go, "What the hell is sumo?" I said, "I don't know. I'm going to find out." And then and they came to the day 1 week before I left, and then they're like blown their head. My mom always wanted me just to stay home because everybody left. Her kids left, and she wanted the two youngest to stay home and find a way to go to school in Hawaii and find a job and just stay home. But my dad always thought I was going to be a preacher. He wanted me to be a preacher because I went to church Bible studies for like 7 years. And when we were in Nanakuli, the Samoan church, we had Bible studies during the summer. And it's something that I'm proud of. But and he always give it the wow. You ain't listen, eh? Yeah, because of my father, he beat us up. We don't listen. You're gonna get a slap in your head before anything else. But then that was the jump. I came to Japan, and everything else was history after that.
Right. So we all know, us local people, we love repping our islands and flavor in our culture, right? Uncle Sally, you talked about going with your lava lava and your pride of Samoa shirt, and that's really heartwarming. Especially your stories talking about how your trips to school and stuff was a little bit different being from Nanakuli, as I can very relate for that. I can relate for that, being very fortunate enough to have gone to Punahou, but I've lived in Waimanalo. So I really
we were the one that started the 545 Express bus, number 93 from Nanakuli. Why not?
That's when you're important in an area that you need a specific bus to help the kids get out of the help kids that choose to get out of some of the communities and experience.
There was two express bus. One was 545 and one was 615. So by the time we got to Nanakuli, the last stop was the old Alvin's Drive-In they had in Nanakuli. That's where we caught the bus. And then in Nanakuli had only one stop. It's funny, like for express bus, I had only a few stops all the way from Makua. So if we caught the 615, we wouldn't make it in time because we had to get off at we used to get off the Hotel Street. We used to get a Hotel Street, and then we catch the Woodlawn bus to go up Manoa. So we're up early. So
oh, we can definitely relate to that, huh? It's been some time. So Uncle, you talked about we moved away on a leap of faith. You're arriving in Japan. What's kind of that first thing going through your mind? Like you've arrived in the airport and being so far away, were there any initial challenges just right when you got there? What was going on when you kind of just got off the plane?
Well, number one, I didn't know what to expect. I had no, how do you say? I had no knowledge of Narita Airport, what you needed to get in and get out. And all I know, I didn't have any money. I didn't have no luggage. I had a shoulder bag. And then I found out that when you're getting out of the airport those days, like almost 40 years ago, they had what they call airport tax. And there was a machine that you buy a ticket for 2,000 yen and you get out. So actually somebody who was on the plane from Hawaii actually bought the ticket for me. Because I didn't have money. I was like, hey, how do you get out? Oh, what you here for, boy? Well, I'm gonna be somewhere. So somebody got the ticket. And then when I got out, like I saw everybody that joined Sumo after me, like Chad, Agemono, and Musashi Maru. I see photos of them at Narita Airport. All these other foreigners that joined Sumo after me, they have photos with their luggage at the airport with their boss, the Oyakata or something. And I'm the only guy that have no photo at Narita because nobody came to get me, I had to jump on a limousine bus that I didn't know how to get on. I didn't have money to pay to get on. And that's where my career started, figuring how to get to Tokyo. But, with that's the kind of stuff you learn from home. Basically, if you don't know what's happening, ask questions. They always tell you, if you don't know, ask. That's what I was raised. So if you ask, you get answers. So that's how I got on the bus. And then I went to what they call a bus station here in Tokyo called Hakozaki. And that's where I first saw Jesse Takamiyama.
So I mean, that's just an amazing story. I'm watching the chat and people, they're talking about you paving paths, and they're absolutely correct, Uncle. You were the first, and we so funny, right, you don't necessarily have all those pictures because before you, there was nobody that had set that as a standard of, oh my gosh, we got to have all these people at the airport and doing all these things. So, it's truly a blessing. So far, and what's really gravitates to me is that so far away from home, and so far from the islands, you still found something that kind of resembled that aloha spirit, let it be local people or even maybe it was Japanese people returning, that they really wanted to support you and you found your way. And so you got off the train. Can you tell us a little bit about what these stables are? What did you experience when you kind of got to that point of your life, when you actually arrived where you need to be?
When I'm saying stable, if the best way to look at it, it's like a clubhouse where you belong to that school or sumo school, you can call it. So what this school contains of is actually that's your home as a sumo, as your career. And when I joined a school called Takasago Bear, a sumo stable called Takasago Bear, we had about 40 something active sumo tories at the time. And obviously, because of Jesse Kuaulua Takamiyama, who actually opened up the doors for all the foreigners, he was the reason why I got in, and we were in the same stable, Takasago. So you go there, you sleep on the floors with futongs, and then everything else is like seniority. You walk in, if you're the newest kid on the block, the newest kid on the block, so always on his knees in the morning, wiping the floors, cleaning the toilets, and washing the food, washing the what you call after lunch and dinner. We're the one that do all the cleaning up and stuff. You go to washing, you do all the chores for the senior guys, and that's how the sumo is. You just learn from there.
You know, in our conversations, Uncle, we've talked. You know, I mean, we've spent a lot of time talking, and it's such a fun moment for me. You shared a story about this cleaning. You know, we talk about cleaning and we talk about chores. You know, in a house, especially at home, you know, a lot of us are home now. You shared with me a story of there was no mops and things like that. That everything was on your hands and knees. And I don't think there's people that have been removed from that, right? Because we don't necessarily know. We get the Swiffer, we push that button, the thing squirts, we rub it down. But you know, so what was that like? You know.
Well, it's when I joined, I was the youngest and the newest to the clan over there. So my job was within a 6 month span, I had to go to sumo school individually it's made for all newcomers. So for within the 6 months of my first 6 months, between every tournament, I had to go for 1 whole month of schooling. So I was responsible for cleaning a 4-story building, all the stairs, wipe it down, clean it up, make sure all the slippers are put away, because it's only like it's like a home. So and there we had 4 toilets that I had to clean up and stuff, and so I made sure I cleaned everything, make sure I took all the garbage out. And I used to get out like 3:30 in the morning, and I did that. It took me about an hour to do all that. Then after I was done, then I would walk to go to our sumo school, which is like a 30, about 20-something minute walk. And then I would go there early in the morning between the winters, because that was my first experience as a winter. It was so damn cold that, you know, and as a young wrestler, we was wearing kimonos, but it's very thin. It's like a lower shirt. So it doesn't really keep you warm. And we weren't allowed to like wear like any hoodies under it. You're supposed to just you got to keep like a sumo. There's a dress code that we always have to wear wherever we go. And it was wearing these slippers that we had, you know, and you freeze, man. So because it was so early in the morning, nobody was up. Nobody's on the streets anyway. I used to cover myself with a blanket. I used to cover myself with the blanket and walk to school every morning for like, about 6 months I did that. So, and then, you know, the reason why I grew up cleaning and stuff, so it wasn't anything new to me. But,
and that's what I was about to ask, Uncle, is because, you know, that link to your family and your home. I mean, in living in Samoan culture, everybody has chores, right? You talk about how everybody has responsibilities in the home. So
nothing but chores, bro.
it's more than that, yeah, Uncle, more than that. And I only bring this up because, you know, individual teachers and parents, we know that how hard it is to get our kids sometimes to kind of move that way. If it's not instilled in them, it's not taught at home early. And of course, in another culture, in another place, if you didn't have already that linking to home or that experience, them telling you to get on your hands and knees to wipe the floor, that alone would have been something, just a foreign act. So, you know, that importance of that role that your parents played, kind of setting that theme down, huh? So it made it pretty easy for you.
Well, the reason for that, again, no matter how good a staff is at a school, our characters are not built at school. Your characters are built at home. It's the way you was brought up in home that shows you the respect that you have to show others. And what I did in Japan, it would work anywhere in the world. You know, just through that, you're respecting what they have. If I went and tried to fight against the coach, I would have struggled, to be honest with you. It's like throwing a kid who just learned how to swim against in the Miley Beach where the current only pulls to the left, and you try to swim right, you're gonna die. You're gonna die in that. So it's very important to us to understand our schoolings And no matter how good our teachers and our staff or our programs are, we got to remember it's a community thing. If our communities are not together, our families not working together with the communities, and our communities are working together with schools, it's hard for anybody, any part of the family or the schools or the community to help nourish our kids. And it's bad is bad, good is good. We have to make that clearly. And it's because it's part of our Polynesian culture. It does that in Hawaiian culture, Samoan culture, Tongan culture, Fiji. It doesn't matter. All Polynesians are brought up in culture. Number one is culture and religion. But these two things doesn't headbutt because it's two separate things. You know what I mean? So I think that's where the respect comes from. And all the things I went through Japan, all the first days of my life, I didn't feel any struggle. It's just part of what I had to do. And like anything else, you just got to do the work. At the end of the day, no matter what, we have a lot of NFL players now because they did the work. At the end of the day, because you're sitting there as a teacher, we're doing this interview, you did the work. So it's very important to understand people don't just get to where they are because somebody gave them free food stamps and you got there. Everybody worked their butts to get where they are. And you have to have a reason. So the problem right now, a lot of them is, where does the vision play part in where they want to go with their lives? And the only thing we can do as adults, as big brothers and big uncles and stuff like that, is show them that there's better things in life. It doesn't mean you have to change. What we're trying to do is to make your life better, because there's obstacles that as an adult, when you get this more responsibility, when you get older. And there's tough times, which is what everyone is going through right now as a pandemic. So for you to take on challenges, like a big challenge like this pandemic, if you're not used to getting smashed in the face and fighting through that to get to where you want to go, you're going to lose as a human being, you know. And we don't want that. We want to nourish young men, young women who be strong and have confidence in what they do. But at the same time, you got to work to get the confidence. Confidence is just not confidence. If you have confidence that you don't do the work to get your tools ready or your mechanics ready for the challenge that people are going to challenge you with, then it's going to be hard. It's basically that. It's no easy way out. You know, it's just typical hardcore being daddy and being mommy, you know. So I'm very grateful and very, very thankful that I had parents who was hardcore, even though, and it's a good thing about they kept making sure that we went to school, we learned school. They weren't like against what school was teaching us. They're like part of making us sure if you don't do your homework, you get lickings, like, you know. And if I hear you, if the teacher call and you make trouble in school, they lick you. So they made teachers' job easier those days, because we weren't afraid of the teachers, but we was afraid of the phone call that mom or dad was going to get, because we're going to get beat bad. We won't get that salsa that it's, you know. But, you know, but now, you know, with laws and everything changes, you touch the kid is like abuse and all that law. And that's so sad, because our Polynesian culture is not like that. Of course, our family going to see something wrong, but, you know, I think that's where we have to kind of support our kids, because it's to me, it's three sections. It's the community, the family, and the schools that come together to build a beautiful life of a kid, you know.
So we know you did the work. We talked about going through the snow, and for having experienced the frigidness of Japan, yes, it goes to the bones. Even as round and brown as I am, it goes right through the bones. And yes, so you talk about you did the work, you covered. Can you share a little bit what it means, or to those that may not know your child, what it means to get to the level, what level that you actually attained in your career in regards to sumo, for those that may not necessarily know?
Well, sumo, there's actually 6 levels of ranks. But when I joined sumo, we had about 850 active professional sumo wrestlers. So in the ranks of sumo, there's only 60 people that really can make it in sumo, meaning that only 60 can get paid in sumo. So if you see sumo and you see the guys in the silk belts and the guys with the hairdo, that's the high rankers, and that's the only people that get paid. So for me, some of the things I'm glad, I'm happy that I accomplished in my careers. I'm still the fastest to rise up to the ranks of judo, which is the top. It's a second top level, which is takes a normal kid who comes out at 15 or 18 to make it in 5 years. Yeah, so it took me 8 tournaments, which is less than a year and a half. And then less than about a year later, I became the first to be a junior champion, 14 tournaments, a little over 2 years, just joining sumo. So those things are records. And then my 5th year, I became the first sumo champion, Ozeki, in sumo history. First foreigner to become Ozeki and stuff like that. And then, my career lasted about 16 years and stuff. So as a sumo career, I was very blessed to be and have a career that I had, because the majority of the time I was in sumo, I was in the high ranks. Mm-hmm. Only my first 8 tournaments, I was a low rank sumo wrestler. But from my 2nd year on, I was already in the high ranks. So it brought a fortune and fame to the name, and it made me what I am today and stuff, and finally could help support the family.
Definitely, Uncle. And I think that's really what I just wanted, to say. It really attests to your work ethic, right? You talk about work ethic, you talk about going in early every day, you talk about doing all these things, and really that's what needs to be happening, right? Like you say, it's the hard work that really does it. It's overcoming the challenges. It's the, making sure, like you're saying, the first one the first one at the state, the first one to practice, the last one to go home, the one that was always kind of facing those challenges. And it really speaks upon your work ethic of your accomplishments. Now, I have to get on Uncle, because I love it. He shared this story with me in another conversation. I'd love for you to share with everybody else. Now, you talked about, Uncle, when you didn't have no money going to Japan. So, of course, for us local kids that go away, we know that easy now, cell phone. We call our mom and dad. Mom, I got here. I'm here. But you talk about having no money.
You get PayPay and Venmo. You get PayPay and Venmo. They call it Venmo. They don't have it in Japan, but you have many ways to get money now. People just send you to the phone. Kind of.
Yeah. Right. So it makes it even convenient, right? So when you shared the story with me, it was truly heartfelt, because going away to school, a lot of our, going just anything new, right? Going away and just experiencing that separation from home. It was so easy to tether ourselves to our family nowadays with phone.
Phone calls, yeah.
We call a phone call, especially nowadays. We can jump on the computer and Skype people and FaceTime and all these things. So it's you're actually seeing this thing. Can you share a little bit about when you actually made it? We know that you've shared that you couldn't call anybody. You never had no money. What happened now? And I laugh, because when you made it big, you talk about fame and fortune and all these kind of things. Did your phone call kind of that habit change? Were you able to do more now?
It's funny, because at the beginning, even when I made it, I had to go to like a restaurant nearby, like a ramen restaurant in Tokyo, especially. I used to become real good friends with the old lady and old man who run it. They even have a menu after my name and stuff, because I used to go to, they had these pink phones that is like 10 yen. And that's the only way I could call home. So when I was a young guy, when I after a tournament, I'll have money, so I would go and call. Bro, just less than 10 minutes, I was paying like $100-something just to call home. But my parents never called me. My parents never knew my phone number my whole career in Japan, because I didn't want them to worry me. I knew if my mom knew my phone, she'd be trying to call me, and in those days, long distance phone calls was expensive. So I put a burden to. They never knew my phone number. They never could call me. Once I got my phone, once they had those things, those big phones, they had the one that they carry on the shoulder. I bought one. It cost me like $2,000. But the damn thing wasn't even catching that good when I left Tokyo to go to Osaka and Fukuoka, Nagoya for all the other tournaments. The damn thing no catch, like waste money, man. But that's how bad I wanted to call my parents. And then this damn thing was so big. You still carry them. Then you got to the smaller one, and now it's so simple. Now I can call easy. But the cell phones cut the last part of my career. Even this laptop, the computer stuff, all coming towards the end of my career. So once the phone came on, I was all good, because I had fun calling my parents every day now, and after my career, I made sure I called wherever I went, all my trips to Africa or Dubai or wherever I went in the world, Turkey, wherever I went, I made sure I called and stuff.
So no matter what, you always had that tether to home. Yeah, you always had that tether to your mom, folks. And it was truly a heartwarming story when you shared it with me, Uncle. And that's why I wanted to share with everybody else. It's because
it's so important for me because I knew the situation with my family, and I didn't want to burden them with any more bills, And the funny thing, I don't know if I told you the story, but and my mom and my dad, it's funny when I made, even it's during my second year, I made it as a higher ranker. My parents was like always, my mom would like cry on the phone and say, hey, come back home. Because I only would call my parents once every 2 months or maybe twice. I would call them the day before the tournament to tell them that I'm going to do a tournament from tomorrow. And then I'll call them the day at the last day of the tournament. So that's the only time I really would call my parents. So that's maybe less than 20 calls a year. So the thing is, my mom used to cry on the phone and tell me, come back, come back, no, stay there already. So one day I was like worried, like, how come mom is still like, on the phone and always trying to get me to come back home? And I'm doing all this, I'm doing good. I'm sending home money every month. I send my whole paycheck home. I was like sending money home. So like less than 3 years, my mom had money in her account and she didn't know she had. Because mama never had money in her account. She said she only had like $25 and I knew she had an account. I would figure out a way to find out where her account was. And then one day she crying on the phone, come back. I go, Mom. I go, wow, I still helping, but she didn't know that. So I told my younger sister, Kahalo, hey, you do me a favor. Can you go take Mom to the bank and see if she ever goes to the bank? She goes, Mom don't go to the bank. She don't go bank. And when she went to the bank, the people at the bank tellers took her in the back. And she's like, what the hell are they taking me for the back for? To find out she had like almost $40,000 in her bank account. So that was the first time ever since then, she come on the phone when she wouldn't cry now. She thought, why you lose to that guy? She's yelling at me now. She's like, and she knew all the sumo wrestlers' names and stuff. It was like so funny. I thought, that's all I needed to do, and make sure that you knew you had money in your account so you can go to bingo game. So you can go play bingo, 3 times, 4 times a week bingo. It's so funny. Ever since then, my mom was more comfortable, She got real comfortable and stuff like that. And my dad was just always real the emotion guy. He always telling me how hard I work and always crying on the phone. And, I always thought you're going to be a preacher and all that stuff. So that's what, towards my career, when I started my career, really helped, make them understand it more about what I was doing. Because they weren't watching. The thing is, they weren't watching, I used to call up my so-called Japanese mom, Mrs. Takara, one of my schoolmates' mom, because I used to hang out at their house when I was young. And she lives in Kalihi. So when the tournaments goes on, my mom, she would actually drive down to Nanakuli and then tell mom them, you gotta listen to the radio. So she understands Japanese. She would explain to them if I won or lost. So yeah, this was the good old days, man.
And that's so amazing, Uncle, because that's really hard for me, right? As any parent or even, in teachers, we encourage people to go out. They go out, we still want to be tethered. And, it's so nice that, no matter what, your mom would always welcome us, right? You talk about culture that's, you always had a place at home no matter what. But once mom found out that it was a little bit easier for her, she could buy more groceries and go bingo. She was more encouraging, but you just stay up there. You just call once in a while. You already get your phone into that. So that's truly amazing, Uncle. That is truly amazing. So, as one who has overcome so many challenges in a foreign land, not only in Hawaii getting there, but now that you're there, you've gone through all of these challenges and you've persevered despite all the various adversities, Uncle. What words of advice or encouragement would you leave for, like you talk about, are your kids or your nieces and nephews, myself, and any of us that, aspire to just continuously strive to be better? What kind of words of encouragement or, what would you leave for the kids that would want to follow in your path?
For me, the things that I tell the kids that I talk to a lot of young people, and I make sure where you want to go and why you want to go. Have a reason why you want to go, and have something, have a purpose, and have something or a person or somebody that you want to do good for. For me, I was just having these conversations as a kid who was actually playing a professional basketball league here, and he's like related to a good friend of mine. So like he calls me every day and I tell him, make sure you're doing it for somebody that really have put the time in to get you where you're at today, meaning it's your parents. So he's a single mother. And he was asking me questions too. Oh, so uncle, what motivates you? I thought, I look nowhere for motivation. My parents is my motivation. If I think about the time they went through, the stuff they went through, even to start a family in Hawaii with their lack of languages. And then the thing is, my dad and mom, and then you see that their first language is Samoan, and they see their kids go out to college. I see that, and I see all my uncles and aunties getting jobs that my dad helped them get. It's like there's something about that is it's like touching, and it really helps. It's encouraging. So for me, it's so important to find people want to talk about passion, but if you don't have the right ethnic work ethics with it, it's gonna be hard. You gotta be willing to lose. You gotta be willing to fall, and you gotta be willing to take stuff that you don't like. People will be negative about what you do, but negativity should be a positive thing. You know, in my whole life, I never negative actually helps me. You know, and I don't really care about people say, oh, you did this, you did that, good, because that's the reason why I work hard, because that's what the outcome is. The outcome. To get good outcomes, you got to learn how to take the negatives with and make it part of your strategy. Make it help you, you know, because this world is not kind. The real world is not kind, as we all know, you know. And people say, well, you was born for this. No, nobody was born for anything. You got to make it your own, you know. And so it's so important to them to understand our youngsters, but they need the support group too. You know, even with my career, I was very fortunate to have great people around me, the good and the bad. The negative guys who pushed me around, the guys that during my sumo career, the guys who treated me like a a-hole, man, they got beat up. And that's the positive thing, because now you can get back to them in many ways. So it's so important that we find ways to push through struggles, because there is a way, you know. And all you have to do is find a problem and just look for solutions, and don't stop to look for the solutions. Because once you find a solution, if there's a problem, that's how people get creative, because there's a problem, right? Then you have to find a way to get there. Everybody's not to get there as fast as other people, but you should get there. Do it your way. You'll get there, but make sure you want to go. Make sure you want to get there, you know.
That's so inspiring, Uncle. And we have one of the chat questions. I love you guys married, because that was my very next question. You guys are right on point. Uncle, you've retired. It's 1997. You're living in Japan. You're still an international star, beginning new ventures in your career, you know, that we shared. From my understanding, you had a hit TV show as well as some other things going on. Can you share a little bit about that?
I've been doing TV since retirement. You know, I've been retired almost 22 years now, and been in Japan. So there's a kid show that I do. I've been doing almost 20 years now. It's called Nihongo de Asobo. It's like I'm the what you call the big bird of Sesame Street. It's a character called Koni-chan. They just took my name, Konishiki, the Koni, and they made me Koni-chan. And many other things. I'm a DJ. I've done radio for like almost 20-something years here in Japan. Mm-hmm. Most of my work contains of entertaining. Maybe if it wasn't for the pandemic, I would do like something close to like 200-something shows a year. I speak. I do a lot of speaking occasions. Not only here in Japan. I've been fluent all over the world to do a lot of programs. I've been invited by the King of Dubai to go out and hang out, opening his actually opening his new racetrack one year. And I've been very blessed, and I'm humbled by all the stuff I've done within my career. But yeah, so I'm more involved in just all kind of stuff. Speaking of occasion.
And I just wanted to say, you know, I'm following the chat, Uncle, and there's so many people sending mahalos to you for all the different things you've done here in Hawaii. And of course, there are some highlighted amazing events with Konishiki Kids. You know, there's a lot of people that saying in audience today that saying that they're a part there, you know, to thank you because you've been a part of their family's journey. And that. Can you share a little bit just about Konishiki Kids too, Uncle? What your kind of goals are, what that was about?
one of the things I wanted to do when I was still active was actually start a foundation, which is called the Konishiki Kids Foundation. And the purpose was to try to find a way to I could get some kids that went to our elementary schools on the Waianae coast to come to Japan to experience what I went through, kind of see what the world I went through here in Japan. So we had a program. We had, I think, about 10 trips that came to Japan, and a fully paid trip. I even paid for the DOE teachers to come on. DOE never paid nothing, but it's all good. That's okay. I hate to get, but the thing is, I got about 50 kids, 52 kids. It was 75. Yeah, so it was 5 kids from certain schools. 5 kids that was picked every day, every year to come to Japan to experience Japan. And to me, the topic that they talked about was they had to write a paper essay called "What is Aloha to You?" Something like that. And because everybody's related, then I told them we cannot put names on them because everybody's related. You can tell, you can see your cousin, you can put your cousin on it. So just make sure that everybody had a numbered stuff. So when it came to Japan, they did very cultural things. They learned how to do hana, the flower arrangements. They had the tea ceremony. They had the opportunity to visit actually a sumo stable in the morning to practice. And they went to a school, and we stayed out in the country. They went to a school with same age group kids out in the country, and they went skiing. And then the highlight was their Disneyland trip, the Tokyo Disneyland and stuff. And then the other highlight was they all went to sumo. They all went to sumo tournament and stuff. I was still active at the time. But even after that, other programs, and my focus was to let them realize that there's a bigger world there. And I wanted them to take the step into get uncomfortable, meaning put yourself in a place where you're not comfortable, find a way to get through it and stuff. So they saw what I went through into my career, what kind of country I spent my whole career, my whole life in. And I'm glad I did that. And then we started doing things, did a lot of carnivals that you saw. Ike Fernandez at the Miley Park. We did Kapolei. We did down by Alamana Beach Park. We did. So stuff we try to give back, and all the money goes back to the schools. I just give them money. We're the kind of street style. You give the checks to the school, and you tell them you gotta show me the receipt and show me what you guys bought for the school. And it's still. And the foundation is very small. It's only a few of us. I don't do it for I don't have a business mind for it. I thought if you can, no can. Because everything is people donating the time and stuff. So that's what the Konishiki Kids is all about. We just did something not too long ago at the house this past year, was actually delivering food and in my dad's name, but yeah, so from the house and stuff. So.
And that's truly amazing, Uncle, because, like I said, as I'm reading the chat and I'm keeping tabs on that, there are so many individuals here that have joined us today that have been influenced by that organization, and your organization have been touched. Their families have been able to experience all that because of all that you do. So, Uncle, I cannot tell you much how many things are going through the chat of all the mahalos. We have just a few more minutes, Uncle. So I know I could spend hours on this day, but I know you need to continue on time. But I have a few more thoughts and questions actually for us, and I know you're on here. So you're a huge advocate of family. You've taught us a huge advocate of family values, providing opportunities to kids. You've shared all the family members that have made that important with you. You're still a national star, Uncle, global sensation. You do work all around the world, like you said, Dubai. I've personally been able to experience how you've carried culture, the Samoan and Hawaii's culture just in general of the melting pot that we have here. And I personally got to experience what you do for the Japanese culture and how you even spread that aloha spirit and continuously exhibit all those great things that you stand for, Uncle. Can you share a little bit with the group? Like you said, you touched on your promotions and kind of things. Where do you see your kind of that next goal? Uncle? What's next for you? I mean, with everything that you've done, I mean, is there something that you have yet or have a goal that you want to accomplish and have yet to try?
Well, there's so much things that I really want to know. It's in a level because I'm a foreigner here in Japan, and because I turned Japanese citizen, but at the same time, I want to take it to the next level. It's not only our local or Polynesian, but foreigners as a whole, help foreigners to come here to understand and learn from the culture, learn to open up to the culture and learn and take from it. And, and I see there's a purpose why I'm here, and to help even Japan, the Japanese people understand the other cultures that they bring here in Japan. Japan is a very loving place. People that have visited Japan knows that. It's so clean, the culture, the food, the people are so nice and stuff like that. So hopefully not only that, there's so much things that I wish I could do to even better my Waianae Coast area, yeah. I wish I can find ways to connect some of the expertise that we have in Japan to take advantage of the natural resources we have back at home, the ocean, the mountains. There's a lot of land out there that I think if we had help from some of the great technology that Japan has. I look at agriculture a lot because I see the great stuff I see here in Japan, and I see it can happening in the Waianae area with all that land. Hopefully we can find a way. And I was just saying this to another friend the other day, bro, with all the expertise we have on the Waianae Coast, if we all can come together and put our minds together and start a little, start small, but expand into making Waianae a model for the rest of the island where people are going to start learning that they can actually, you can live off the land. Like, we always say live off the land, but how many people grow vegetables in their own yard, So, some stuff, something like that. My goal right now is actually just to stay healthy, find ways to bridge our culture. Hawaii and Japan will ever have a great, tight culture. Hawaii loves Japan. Japan loves Hawaii, and try to get even deeper in each other's culture. I want to be that guy, that person who helps make those connections and stuff. I'm knocking on 6-0 in a few years, so I want to be some kind of position where I can help both countries. Yeah, cold countries. I'm more connected to Hawaii than USA. I rather stay small.
Right on, Uncle. Oh my God, I think it has been such an inspirational experience, from your sharing of your family to really overcoming challenges, and to really how we can encourage kids to kind of continuously strive for more. Like you said, take the chance, do what needs to be done. We're at about time, ladies and gentlemen, but before we do anything and before we even leave this space, can we please give Uncle Sale a virtual round of applause? Can we please give Uncle a mahalo nui? Can we please throw all the various things in the things? I know we are so very thankful for this day. Uncle, thank you for sharing for us really what's next, helping for us to understand what it still means to be grounded in culture, yet so far away, what it means to continuously strive for goals and to really look beyond what our normal expectations would be. Having a nanakuli, local boy, but learn about sumo on the beaches of Waikiki, to challenging yourself to do better for your family, to making yourself a global success, Uncle, to again returning back and giving back on the islands and giving back to various cultures across the way. I want to give you my warmest and mahalos, Uncle. I absolutely love you. I love the time we spent. The worst part about this experience is knowing that we will not have our weekly conversations preparing for this,
Yeah, thank you for the hard work. You guys really put your time in to make sure that everything works out.
Thank you, Uncle. It's really on behalf of you. And like we've shared before, it's for the communities and the individuals that we work with. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give Uncle Sale another round of applause as we continue our day. Please, at any given time, ladies and gentlemen, we have a workshop survey to fill out. Again, this is just to share with Uncle Sale the amazing thoughts and the amazing things that we're going to be doing, the amazing thoughts and all the amazing things that he touched upon that really focused and really drew to your heart. To bring our day to a close, prior to doing last minute announcements, what I'd really like to do is introduce our Ohana Engagement Director, Luana Poo, who's going to say a few words and, of course, really help bring us back together. Let's welcome to the stage. And, of course, as we send Uncle Sale a fond farewell, lots of love and aloha. Please stick around with us, Uncle, and you know I'm going to be calling you soon. It has been an absolute pleasure from our family to yours, and from our Kamehameha family, our Hawaii family. Thank you for all that you have done for us. Thank you for everything that you continuously do for us and for the communities. It is truly a blessing, and I have truly appreciated this time. Uncle, mahalo nui.
Luana, thank you, Khalil.
Take it away.
I want to leave you guys.
Go for it.
I want to leave a few words that my dad left behind with the family, and he says this always, all the time. And he tells us in Psalm 1, it just means take care of your ohana. It's more important. The ohana actually is so important. And the other word that he uses, fa'aloalo, respect, which is what our cultures have. And we're not off the rails yet. You know, the culture keeps us solid compared to the mainland. And I always say this: Hawaii has a culture that makes us different from the mainland. So it's so important. So kausi leainga ialelei means just take care of the family to make sure they're all good. If we really truly mean that and feel that, we should be guided the right way in helping our kids get to the next level. It's going to make our teachers in our schools a better place for the kids to learn, because they know their families are really serious about them getting their education from very experienced teachers in our schools. So it's so important to make that connection, and follow all, always respect. So thank you for having me. Khalil, thank you and your staff for having me, and I hope you guys have a great day. As you guys cut me off, I get to watch the rest of the day, so it's all good. I can go back.
Uncle, we could have this conversation for hours and hours, Uncle. I know everybody is loving it.
I know that. I don't want to get people get bored about my life.
Luana?
Mahalo nui. I just echo that mahalo to you. And from one Waiʻanae girl to you, Uncle Sale, we just are so proud. If I was having a hard time keep up with the chat because of everybody's mahalo for your mo'olelo, for your stories, and
West
just
side.
your words of wisdom. Yeah, West Side. And I see a lot of friends in the chat too, all those Waiʻanae and Anakuli folks. So mahalo nui again.
Thank you. Thank you.
It has just been a wonderful day for me from the beginning this morning with Dr. Aukahi Austin Seabury sharing her mana'o of one kaha kaha and those waves and how everything kind of moves together, and moving into the different presentations that I got to sit in. I was so happy that I also got to see a few friends. I see names of people that I know, Haumana that I've had when I was a kumu from preschool that are now presenters and participants in this conference. And so it really is nice and so fulfilling to see just the fruit of the labor of the team that had put this together. So I just do want to mahalo them again to the entire Ohana engagement team. And my brain is so blown that I got to talk to Salevaʻa Atisanoʻe that I'm going to forget names, so I'm not going to say anything. But mahalo nui to everybody that had a hand in putting this together, to all the participants for coming. For the rest of the year, we have some great things in the works. We're planning some cohorts with some of the presenters. We're looking forward to some special projects that are not so publicized yet. We're not ready to unwrap them and reveal everything yet, but we do have a lot coming. So be sure to check your email. Be sure to keep in touch with us. And just, I know it's a Friday afternoon. Mahalo for hanging in there. Just enjoy your weekend, and mahalo again to all of you for attending and to all of you for participating. Aloha.
Mahalo, Luana. And again, ladies and gentlemen, we echo all those thanks. Like we said, it's a kako effort. It's a group effort. We thank Uncle Sale. We thank Dr. Seabury Austin Seabury. Sorry, like Luana said our brains already. And of course, all the many hands that have helped put this together. It has been an amazing experience for us this year to be hosting and to have this amazing opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, we are drawing our day to a close. Thank you so much for spending the day with us. It's truly a blessing. We are truly honored that you have chosen to do that. Remember that the recordings will be coming up in the next few weeks. Please allow us the grace and the time to process that as best as possible for us on behalf of our team so that you guys can watch it. Again, if you've did miss any cohorts that you did want to check out, those videos will be available also. Again, mahalo nui from our team, from the planning team, from Kamehameha Schools, from all the many collaborators, on behalf of Uncle Albert and Alika, who had an amazing time with you folks today, and they loved our dancers. We really want to thank you guys all, and we really want to wish you aloha and a hui hou. Stay safe, stay healthy. Much love to all of your families. Such an amazing day, parents, or such an amazing day, families. We're so very thankful to all of you guys that have joined. And to say the least, you guys don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. And enjoy most of it because we don't have traffic. For those of you guys that are already home. Oh, west side. No traffic, west side. Again, mahalo nui to everybody. A hui hou kākou. And like Luana said, be on the lookout for all those amazing things coming up. Aloha, malama pona, everybody. Aloha.